tapping into life. I'm stepping into life. Every heartbeat singing, every word is turning right. Tapping into life. With faith I rise again. This is my anthem now. From beginning to the end.
Welcome to another episode of Happy Life Podcast. I am your spiritual life coach, Matthew B., and we are here back again in the living room of Tapping into Life. And the reason why I do call it the living room is because we in a room having conversations and we living. Ergo, the living room. Okay. Welcome. Y'all come on in, have a seat. How can I say this? Oh, yeah, that's right. Y'all know the drill. Grab your pad, your pen, your notebook, your tablet, whatever it is. Grab you a snack, grab you something to drink, whatever it is that you need to do to be comfortable as we have this wonderful, amazing conversation. Y'all know how we do. I understand it's been 8 months since the last time I recorded an episode of the podcast, but ain't nothing changed. Okay. And I realized that it had been 8 months, and I'm like, yeah, that's not good. It is, but it's not. I don't regret the time because of what has happened in the time. However, I have missed doing the podcast episodes. I think the last episode I did, I totally forgot to even put the podcast out, like the episode out. I y'all forgive me. All right. I forgot. Like at that moment, I think I was going to put it out, and then at that moment, life started lifing, and it just totally slipped my mind. So I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. Am I going to put it out? I don't know. I watched the video and I realized that there was some self critiquing, and I'm like, yeah, no. So I don't know. But nonetheless, it has been 8 months. We are back, and when I tell y'all that we got so much to talk about. First and foremost, I am extremely blessed to know that each and every one of you are continuing to invest the time, effort, and put in the work to make you a better you. Part of my calling and my purpose is seeing people be great. It's even, I'm even happier to see people who are willing to put in the time and the effort to be great. And with that, it's one of those, I'm glad that I'm doing what I need to do and doing what God called me to do. Because the result is seeing each and every one of you be great. Now, is the journey over? No. The journey is not over by a long shot. There's a lot of work that me and you need to do, because there's always time, always room for improvement. There's always room for even more growth. There's always room to receive more knowledge. There's always room to, become a better you. And there's always room for me to become a better me. Life is a very interesting thing. And I feel that the more we make the effort to tap into who God created us to be as spiritual individuals, the more we understand that what we think or who do we think we are is only a puzzle piece of the bigger picture of who we are, right? So that is my introduction. It is wonderful to see you all here again. Y'all get comfortable and we're going to tap in. Okay. So, topic is through the wall of spiritual transformation, right? Through the wall of spiritual transformation. And what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is, so let me do the backstory, give you an introduction, then we're going to slide into the topic. I was reading a book called, it's right here. I was reading this book. All right. This is a good book. I'm actually I want to do a book review on this book. It's not going to be today, but I'm going to do a book review on this book. It's very easy reading, and when I mean easy reading, it's easy for you to understand, because some authors, it's like y'all be putting these books out here trying to, you know, direct it towards a certain audience, and the language and the wording that y'all put in these books is like, don't nobody understand this. You know, y'all got PhD degrees. The audience that you got, you know, that you directing it to, they may not have PhD degrees, so they may not understand PhD vocabulary. But anyway, not calling people out. But so, like I said, I want to do a book review on this book. I keep wanting to say book report. I actually did a book report. On this book. It is a very good book. It is a series of books by Peter Scazzaro. And he has, it's connected to a lot of other books, not a lot, but it's like a handful, and they all are series. But so I read that book. Like I said, I'm going to do a book review on that. But there was a part of that book that I was really focused in on. After I got finished writing the essay, I actually I actually focused in on that particular part. It was a particular part. And in the book, he goes and explains this step process. You know, so it's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I think it's like step 8. I think it's like 8 stages of his explanation or his viewpoint. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, but did this particular stage right here, in this particular moment in this viewpoint, I'm focused in on it. It's something, it's more to it. It's more to it. And so I went and I circled back, right? I circled back. And so everything like in the book that pertains to that particular point, I circled back on, and I really dove in and I read it, you know, over a couple of times to like really get a clear understanding. And I took down notes, and I prayed about it and meditated on it. I'm like, okay, God, this is what I'm getting from this. And what I'm getting from this is good. And this is juicy. And this can have a good, juicy conversation to the people. But if there's any more that I need to know about, let you slide on in and say, hey, this is what you need to know. Okay. And so I kept focusing in on the book, on that part of the book. Mind you, I'm still focusing in on it. I got to read another book. So I read that book, but then focused in on it. But then the thing about it is the next book that I was going to read, well, that I actually read, and it's this one, uh, which is a very interesting thing considering that I don't know the way it's looking like it's different versions of this book. It's easy reading, understandable. You get the message. Yeah, it's I'll sometimes you read a book and you fully understand it, but then it's just like a movie. You go back and watch that movie again, you be like, I missed that part the first time. So I gotta read that. I gotta go back and read this one. We'll look back over that one too. But anyway, so the first book, that part that I was focused on, it's called The Wall. It's like he has different stages. Let me see if I can pull this up. I was just discussing this book and I should have had it. I should have had it. But I was discussing this. I was discussing this book with my stepmom, and her and I was talking about it. And when I need is this it? I think this is it. Okay. All right. So I want y'all, and y'all might need to screenshot this. I want y'all to pay attention. It is how many stages? Oh, it's 6. Okay. It's 6. Yeah, I stand corrected. So it's 6 stages of the stages of faith. That's what it's called. So it's 6. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call it the stages of faith simply because of the context, the wording before it and after it. Okay. Anyway, that's going to be in the book review. But anyway, so I hope y'all get a screenshot of that. And so for those who are actually listening and not able to watch the actual podcast video, stage 1, it says, but stage is 6 stages, and 6 stages is called the stages of faith. I would probably rename it the stages of, the stages of Christian spiritual transformation. To me, that name seems more suitable, but I digress. Anyway, so you got the 3rd stage, you got stage 3, and you got stage 4. Stage 3, hold on. Let me go back again. 1 second. So stage 3 is called, okay, stage 3 is called, let me just go to the beginning. So stage 1 is life-changing awareness of God. That's the first stage. All right. So I'll give you a brief synopsis. Basically meaning when you have that encounter with God, whatever that looked like. And when I mean that, I don't want people to automatically assume that they have to perceive it in a way that they don't understand, or the way that somebody else perceive God, who he is, what he's about, how he's going to do things, right? We've gone over in past episodes that how, for example, how I might perceive God, how I might identify God, how I might, how God has shown up in my life could be different. And by me being a spiritual Christian, I believe that God shows up in different ways, shape, or form. Even in biblical text, it said, and you listen to these stories, God showed up in, in multiple ways, shape, or form. But anyway, then it goes to like discipleship and learning, and you're really gaining the knowledge. You're going through this process where you're learning, you become knowledgeable, you're starting to put knowledge to action. You're starting to become wiser, and part of being wiser is not necessarily being smart, it's also with exemplifying the knowledge. So it's like, I know how to cut the grass. I exemplify that I know that I'm wise in cutting the grass by taking the knowledge that I was taught, and then and the steps that I learned to cut the grass. Pretty simple, right? So then you go into this thing called stage 3. It's called the active life. Now, the active life is, once again, you're exemplifying, right? So stage 1, you be like, wow, you have this wow moment. Stage 2, you're becoming knowledgeable. Stage 3, you're exemplifying the things that you've learned, right? So, which are good, which is very good. But between stage 3 and stage 4, and that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm not going to review something that I told you I was going to do another episode on reviewing. So, stage 3 and stage 4. Between those two is, in the diagram, it's called the wall. And when I advise y'all to to actually go out and buy the book. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it at Amazon, because I ordered mine off of Amazon. But that stage and how he's describing that stage, and as you read it, and he's telling you, okay, well, what do I mean by that stage? Well, what do I mean by the wall? The wall. What I meant by the wall is ... And it's like, yeah, that could have been a whole stage in itself. So it's instead of the stage 3 and stage 4, in the diagram that's shown in the book, I would leave stage 3 as it is. That wall would have been, I would have had a name to that other than the wall, and stage 4 would have been stage 5. So he goes on further in stage, basically saying stage 4, it's the inward, that you got to work on yourself on the inside. Okay. But then he goes and connects stage 4 with the wall. And so this lies me to my topic. The topic is through the wall of spiritual transition. I wouldn't necessarily tied it, although it goes from this point to this point. So it goes from the wall to looking inward. Looking inward. I wouldn't necessarily connected it like that, because when you're describing the wall and you're breaking it down, he's using words that, using vocabulary and wording that, okay, I'm familiar with anyway. I'm sitting here like, when you being the wall, that means, excuse me, that means the point in one's spiritual journey that is one of the hardest things to accept, is that moment where you are in denial, is that moment where you understand that you are scared of doing something, or you don't know how to do something, or you're stuck at doing something, or that moment right there, that moment is the moment of revelation, right? That moment is the moment of spiritual revelation and the revealing of individual truth. So, I would say inward truth. Like, I don't know. But so I was reading that, and that, like I said, it leads into my topic, through the wall of spiritual transition. Now, the first the first three stages, okay, I understood. The stages 4, 5, and 6, I understood. That wall was getting to me. When I tell y'all, that wall was getting to me, because I'm just trying to wrap my head around, the why he chose to kind of combine it, but he really didn't. So when we mean the wall is when you get to that moment in your life to where you are seeing you. So that moment, you're seeing you. You're seeing your true colors. You're seeing the truth in yourself. You are seeing your own spiritual identity. You are understanding who you are as a spiritual individual in real time. So everything that has bothered you, everything that has hurt you, everything that has traumatized you, your good parts and your bad parts, what you have allowed to enter your spiritual atmosphere and affect your spirit, whether it's good or bad, whether, the things that you say, how you go about doing things, your human nature as a whole, that's that moment where God is like revealing all of your good and your bad to you. Here's the thing about it is, we automatically assume that God is going to reveal everything good about us. We automatically assume that God is going to reveal everything good about us. And he does. Don't get me wrong. He does. But at the same time, that's the moment of truth. That's the revelation of you in real time. And you in real time, you may have some things that you need to work on. Right? So, what are those things that you need to work on? One may ask. Some of the things that you need to work on is, first, you have to really accept that you got some things that you need to work on. That's what that moment is about. It's about revelation. It's not holding you accountable for putting in the work. You can't put in the work on anything that you know nothing about. Let's go back to this whole grass cutting thing. If nobody told me how to cut the grass and nobody showed me how to cut the grass, if I've been living in the city for all of my life and then just come down here, to the country, or to, where you got grass and this acre or so of land, how can you expect me as a child to cut the grass? I don't know nothing about cutting grass. How can I put in the work and the effort to get the grass cut if I don't know anything about cutting the grass? I've been in the city all my life. I didn't even know they existed. Example, I was raised in the country, but regardless. And so it's like, that moment does not hold you accountable. God does not hold you accountable in that moment, because he wants you to see what you got to work on. And once you see what you have to work on, you have to accept the fact that you got to work on it. That's where we're going to focus on. Through the wall of spiritual transformation, First, you have to understand that when you are being revealed to you, when God is revealing you to you, so that you can understand you, the whole denial thing, yeah, that can't happen. That can't happen. Because if your human nature is a detriment to you, to your well-being, and God is saying, and God has revealed to you, your human nature is a detriment to your well-being, why are we fighting that? Why are we fighting that? God loves you so much that before you go and do something really crazy that you can't come back from, or before you do anything that's going to cause your life to just go down a spiral path down to the pits, I'm going to give you a moment for you to understand the very things that you need to work on. I'm not holding you accountable in this short amount of time to put in the work, because first I need you to fully understand this very thing that is a detriment and is stopping you, that is hindering you, and that is preventing you from being from being the individual that I called you to be, from being the person that I created you to be. I want you to understand that who you think you are is by way of your own perception under the condition of your environment. We're going to also get into the whole environment thing, because I've seen a lot of people talking about they want to change their environment. We gonna drive that block too, but for now we on this road. So when God reveals to you things about you that you need to focus on and that you need to work on, God's going to give you your flowers first. God's going to, hey, well done on this, well done on that. You're doing great on this. Keep focused on that. Keep up the good work on this. But he's also going to reveal to you what you need to improve on, what you need to work on. Sometimes it's the words that you speak. Sometimes it's the actions that you do. Sometimes he reveals to you your human nature. Any and everything that's a detriment to your safety and well-being, anything that is negatively affecting your mental, your spiritual, your emotional, your emotional. He's going to reveal those things to you. Why? He's a loving God, and he wants you to be exactly who he has created you to be. Now, when I say that, you got to understand who he wants you to be. So that's also included in the wall. The wall is, the wall on one side of the wall. Here's how environment and people conditioned you to be. So you start believing that's who you are. On the other side, God is saying, here's where I want you to be. Here's who you really are. And that's where you want to go. The wall is understanding and accepting in real time that these are the things that have molded and crafted you to be who you are in real time. That doesn't necessarily mean that defines the entirety of you, right? So if you've been traumatized by people or situations or environments, God wants you to understand The reason why your human nature is the way it is, the reason why you do certain things or respond to certain things, or the triggers and all of these things, because that's you. This is what's going on. These things are impacting you, right? They're impacting you. They're affecting you so bad that if you go on the other side of that wall, you will understand one day how bad it was. And if you stay on that side of the wall that you're currently on, it ain't gonna end well. And you're going to continue to see the detriment manifest in the form of how you treat your friends, how you treat your family, how you treat your loved ones, how you treat your kids, how you run your business, how you perform in your career. If you are a spiritual leader, how you shepherd your congregation. And the more we know about ourselves, the better we understand exactly what we need to work on. Now, working on it, that's your stage 4. But to have that moment to where you analyze thoroughly and assess, I am a spiritual existence. I am a human affected by trauma. I am a man or a woman affected by my environment. I respond this way, and my human nature is this way because of the environment, because of the people who are in my life, the things that they may have said, the pain that I have not healed from, those things. Along with, what do I supposed to have inside of me that is absent? And what are things that I supposed to have in me, well, I shouldn't have in me, that are present? It's that moment of self-assessment. It's that, self-assessment doesn't always come in me time and reflecting on me, and you going on vacation and you just woosah, and you doing your daily or weekly self-checks. That is important every single day of your life. But that is extremely important when you get to that wall. It's that pivotal moment to where you identify any and everything that is detrimental to your safety, well-being, and that is a detriment to who you are as a spiritual existence. And it highlights the very things that are causing you not to be the person that God created you to be. And that moment is a moment that doesn't have particular timing. And when I say that is just because I have that moment and I was in that moment for, I'm just going to throw some number out there, for 3 weeks, doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to understand and assess everything in 3 weeks. Different people. It may take you 3 months. It may take you 6 months. It may take somebody a year. When I tell y'all that we have to understand that just because how somebody else maneuvers is totally different from how you maneuver. the time frame of how somebody else do things and how fast or how slow that they do it, it differs from one individual to the next. So that wall is a wall of revelation, right? Like I said, God reveals to you the good, he reveals you the bad. The reason why I describe it as a wall is because it's the bad that you got to maneuver through. It's the bad that's the detriment. It's the bad that's, the toxicity. It's the bad that's hindering you. It's the bad that's the trauma and the pain. Right? So is it a bad thing that you're traumatized or you're feeling pain for the loss of a loved one? No. However, the lack of healing is the bad because we got to heal. We got to heal. And sometimes we get sidetracked and we forget that we got to heal. So what does that healing do? It's just like if you do a cut on your arm, if you do not properly address that wound, what happens? It becomes infected. And when that wound becomes infected, it starts spreading up the arm, it starts spreading down to the hand, and before you know it, now you got all these big infections that's going up through your bloodstream, and it's affecting other parts of your body, and it affects your head, and you're unable to do a lot of things. Your body begins to break down, it begins to affect vital organs, right? But if you properly address it, in time the wound heals. But at the same time, when you're properly addressing it, it heals properly. And it closes up with no infection. And there's no further damage than the wound itself. And so that's where the necessity of making sure you're healing when you should heal, right? However long that process is, that's entirely between you and God. But make sure you're doing it correctly. And neglecting healing is not the proper way to heal. So part of the wall, once again, is healing. Another part of the wall is analyzing why something is as painful as it is, right? We all go through stuff. Life be lifing. We feel pain for whatever reason, right? Whatever the situation is, sometimes these situations cause a great deal of pain. With this pain, we think we can sweep it under the rug. We all know when we sweep stuff up under the rug, what happens? Eventually, you're going to trip. You're going to fall. And the more you sweep stuff under the rug, the more uncomfortable it is to walk on that rug, and the more you trip. Now, at some point, that lump of what you swept under the rug, that lump of pain that you swept under the rug, so at some point, you're going to trip over it, and you're going to break an arm, or you're going to hit your head. Why? Because you thought if you could, out of sight, out of mind it, that it wouldn't be an issue. And you thought if you out of sight, out of mind it, that you wouldn't have had to address it and it wouldn't impact you moving forward. Let me explain something to you about trauma and not healing. Trauma and not healing are like a spiritual virus and cancer, right? If you have not healed from something, once again, the flesh wound, if it's not being healed, addressed properly, what's going to happen? It's going to get infected, right? Trauma. If you do not deal with your trauma, what happens? It also attacks your body, attacks your spiritual body. It attacks your spiritual body. And you cannot maneuver the way you're maneuvering because of something that you have not healed from, something that you have not gotten over, something that is causing you to still have triggers. Because with trauma, it comes triggers, right? So if something traumatic happens, it's so traumatic as soon as something even relatable, or if it even looks like a little like your trauma, that's a trigger. So you respond out of emotion and not feeling. That's another episode we're going to be focused on emotions and feelings. Because in my studies, I'm like, okay, what's the difference? There's a difference. There's a difference. But once you get to this wall, God reveals all this stuff to you, or he sends someone to reveal some stuff to you, whether it be, your grandparents or somebody who is wiser or somebody he uses to address you with certain things. And we assess it and we accept that these are the things that have impacted us or have affected us in some way, shape, or form. We then go and we look in the mirror and we understand, hey, yikes. Yeah, that trauma has affected me. It has affected me. Yeah, I have not properly healed from that. Yeah, yeah. I might need to get some spiritual neosporin and clean this up in some spiritual peroxide and alcohol and white, clean that up and address that on the regular until it heals. So the spiritual wall, everything is a revelation of everything that affected you, how it affected you, your emotions, your feelings. How are you benefiting from life and the things that you need to work on in life? And that's why I said that was just 2 stages in there, because the time it takes to thoroughly analyze what you need to work on. Well, first of all, what it is and what you need to work on and how you need to work on it, and thoroughly understanding, that's a whole process in itself. Like, can we all agree? You want me to put in the work to do this? I ain't even fully thoroughly understood what it is that I need to work on. That's that moment. Now, before we wrap up, here's the question. You gonna keep letting it get to you, or you gonna address it? Are you gonna keep letting it get to you, or are you gonna address it? One may ask, well, Matthew, why would I let it? Why would I keep continuing to let it get to me? Like, if I'm being revealed all of these things and these things ain't good, and I'm sitting here and being like, Why would I keep allowing it to happen? You got to ask yourself that. There are some things that you have to ask yourself that. You ask you why you keep allowing stuff to happen. And how long are you going to allow it to keep happening? Right? Sometimes there are some people who really think it ain't that serious. It ain't that serious. And they continue to exemplify through other moments in their life and how they do things and the people that they're around. They exemplify the very things that they were supposed to be working on. They didn't work on it. They didn't heal from it. It's still getting to them. It still triggers. Right? Then there are some who are scared. There have been moments in my life where God revealed some stuff to me and I was just scared. When I tell y'all I was scared, I had to look, like Dwayne on what? Dwayne on what's happening. I was scared. I didn't know, like, God, you're revealing me this, all of this, and you want me to do what? Then you realize the very one who revealed it to you is the very one who can help you. The omnipotent, almighty God himself is the one who revealed it to you. He's the one who can help you through it. Right? So some are fearful. Some need God, to comfort them in through. Okay, look, I get it. It looks scary. I'm bigger than the fear that you're making this thing out to be. Okay. Some people are scared of failing. Once again, the very one who revealed it to you is the very one who can help you through it. Right? We got to learn how to trust God as he maneuvers us, or as we maneuver, and as he hold our hand through the very thing that he wants us to overcome. And I think a lot of us, including myself at times, our emotions get the best of us. And sometimes we just get in our way. And we got to learn that we just got to stop getting in our way. And once we go through this wall, because you can't go around it. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You got to go through it. And I also understand when I say you got to go through the wall, you got to go through it. Some people may be like, oh, so I might be experiencing some pain and some discomfort and might be uncomfortable, and I might be feeling everything outside of positive feelings. Y'all already doing that. You're already doing it. The discomfort is the transition. Is the peeling back of the scab. Peeling back. And you going through the process of reopening those wounds. And when spiritually reopening those wounds to clear up that infection and to put that spiritual Neosporin and that peroxide and that alcohol, if you're old school, iodine, and and you're addressing it properly. So that wound, just because it's closed, don't mean that it's healed. It just means that it's closed with an infection. So now you got to open it back up and you got to get that infection out. Sometimes that infection is a little uncomfortable. Y'all know, for those who, for those who have experienced a burn, a really bad burn or really bad cut, you got to constantly peel back the bandage. And sometimes you got to put a little pressure on the wound to really clean off the dirt and the germs and all of that. Sometimes it hurt. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. But it's for the better of you. And eventually, those wounds will heal. Eventually, that virus will go away. Eventually, that cancer will disappear. So as we are getting to, some of us that are getting through the wall, you're already going through the wall. I'll tell you something. The best decision that you ever made in your life is to go through the wall, because you had faith that God was going to take you through that wall. Whereas for those who are in that stage, that God is revealing all of these things to them and how it impacts them, understand that, number one, the true you, and how God created you, who he has created you to be, is greater than your perception on how you perceive that wall to be. Those things that you're perceiving as mountains, who you truly are, is greater than that mountain. You are greater than your fears. What do you mean by that, Matthew? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because God created you. And because he created you in the image of himself, in the likeness of himself. So if he has the power, you have the power, because he spoke a part of him. Y'all don't realize that part of him that he spoke into us is greater than any fear that we can even imagine, is greater than any trauma that we can ever experience. Could wipe away any infection that we may experience in our spiritual self. So as we approach the hour mark, part of my discipline over the 8 months is to make sure we stick to an hour or less. So that's what I'm going to do. Pick up, and y'all get a chance. Emotionally healthy spirituality. Like I said, we're going to do a book review on this. And yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about all the other things that we're going to be talking about in the living room of Tapping into Life. Once again, I am so glad to know that each and every one of you are doing what you need to do to make you a better you. Until next time, be blessed, keep God first, continue to tap in, and I'll see each and every one of you next week. Take care.